Hi, second graders. Today we are going to do Deep Dive 31 of Module 1. You will need your blue book. We're going to use the writing checklist, your informative paragraph draft that you have written, and you can have your reading notebook to look at the vocabulary section or just looking at the words that you've used. We are not adding anything new today. Let's dive in. Open your book to handout 31A, the informative writing checklist. Now you've probably already looked at this, but we're going to read through it again. And as we read, I want you to look for ways you can include the module vocabulary or ways to revise sentences in your own writing. So that means to make changes and make your writing better. The module vocabulary are those key words that we have learned, the same words that you had a seesaw activity on the other day to see if you understand what those words mean. Let's look through your checklist. I'll highlight as we go. So it says Grade 2 Informative Writing Checklist. You're not marking anything right now, you're just reading with me and thinking about how you can make your writing better. So we'll start with reading comprehension. I show the impact of changes in fall weather on plants or animals. Structure. I introduce the topic with a topic statement. Make sure we're answering the question. I include at least 3 sentences with evidence. We want 3 sentences at the least. I use evidence from 2 texts. We've read quite a few different books with this module. We don't want to just focus on one. We want to use more than one text to show evidence. And then I conclude the paragraph with a conclusion. We have development. My evidence relates to the topic and helps develop my points. So if I'm writing about plants or animals, I'm not talking about the ice cream cone that I ate last week. And we have style. I use words that are about the topic, so using some of those vocabulary words that we've been working on. I use simple and compound sentences. I combine sentences using and, but, or so. If you have compound sentences, you should also have those conjunction words. Excuse me. And we have conventions. Each of my sentences has one or more subject and verb. So we need the who or what the sentence is about and the action. Okay, so take a look at your informative writing paragraph that you have drafted. It's not your final yet, it's just a rough draft. And see if there's any ways you can add in vocabulary from the module or if you can make any changes at all. I'll show you an example of what it means to revise your paragraph. Here's my paragraph that I've written. It says, in fall, the change in weather signals to animals that it is time to prepare for colder weather. That's my topic statement. Butterflies and birds leave for warmer weather. Other animals, like the snapping turtle, dig a home in the mud to stay warm. Squirrels collect and store food for the colder weather. Change in fall weather is important to many animals. Now, if I'm looking at revising this, I want to think about if there's any places where I can use module vocabulary. So adding in some of those vocabulary words that we've been working on. Do you see anywhere where I can change what I've written to use our vocabulary terms? Now I see if I look at where it says leave for warmer weather, right here, I know that that means migrate. So I could write migrate instead. So I would cross out or erase leaves for warmer weather, and I could say butterflies and birds migrate. And that's using our vocabulary. I could add the idea of how animals survive during winter because that explains some of the changes animals go through during fall. So I could also put in the word survive. Do you see any places where I can combine sentences and make compound sentences? I could write butterflies and birds migrate for warmer weather, and snapping turtles dig a home in the mud to stay warm. So I would combine those two sentences with their conjunction and make sure I put a comma there too. I could also combine the sentences to make change in fall weather is important to many animals, but they all find a way to survive. So that's part of my conclusion. So instead of just ending it there, I could add comma, conjunction, but they all find a way to survive. And that's how you revise your work or make changes. This is just like our editing that we do with our detective journals. Now it's your turn to check your writing. Let's read through the checklist one more time, and then you will reread your informative paragraph draft to make sure you have a subject and verb in each sentence. You have used module vocabulary and that you have combined sentences where possible. So we want to see some of those compound sentences with the conjunctions. On the right side here, you will see just some of the examples of the module vocabulary. So some of the words that we have used in Module 1 that you want to try to use in your informative paragraph. So let's read through the informative checklist one more time, and then you're going to reread your draft and see if you can add any of those words. So we start with reading comprehension. I show the impact of changes in fall weather on plants or animals. So make sure you're telling us how the changes in fall affect plants, what happens to plants because the weather is changing, and what's happening to animals. What do the animals do as the weather changes? We have structure. I introduce the topic with a topic statement that should go at the beginning of your paragraph. I include at least 3 sentences with evidence. I use evidence from 2 texts, not just one. We want to use more than one. I conclude the paragraph with a conclusion. Then with development, my evidence relates to the topic and helps develop my points. For style, I use words that are about the topic that will tie in our module vocabulary. I use simple and compound sentences. We want to try to combine our simple sentences using and, but, or so. You don't have to do that with every single sentence. If you already do 1 or 2 as you're writing, try to shoot for 3 this time. If you've never written a compound sentence, then try 1 or 2. Then conventions. Each of my sentences has 1 or more subject and verb. Remember, we need complete sentences. There's a who or what in your sentence, and they are doing some sort of action with the verb. So you're rereading your informative paragraph, and checking the checklist today. We're coming in for landing. How does using a checklist help us improve our writing? Well, when I combine information from more than one book, I have a lot to think about. Sometimes I might forget to look at my vocabulary journal for the best words to use, or to make sure all of my sentences are complete. So it's nice to have a little reminder to look at to make sure we are doing the best writing possible. Great job today. Thank you for doing your best and have a great rest of the day.